Hi, my writing weirdos. This is BC Brown, and today we are going to be doing some live writing sprints. Basically, what this is every week I will be hosting a live video where myself and a bunch of my weirdo writing friends will get together and chat back and forth about different writing topics, and at the same time, we'll be doing 20-minute incremental sprints. So today, we had a little bit of a kerfluffle with our scheduling because a lot of us are on Arizona time. And if you're not familiar, Arizona does not change time during daylight savings. We are one of the few states that almost the entire state remains at the same time. Our clocks never change. So everyone around us and all the time zones around us change, and we kind of have to keep that in mind. But we weren't really thinking about whether or not we were going to have to push back our start times and things of that nature. So I actually got started at the time that I had said I was going to start at, which is 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. And that meant that it was going to be 11:30 in the morning my time when I was going to start my live streaming. However, there is an amazing writer who is named Dana Gollin, and her channel is Dana Gollin Writes. She actually hosts writing sprints right before mine, and usually I'm over there chatting with her and doing the writing sprints and things like that. But because of daylight savings time, Dana wasn't thinking about pushing back her stream by an hour. So she is currently in the middle of her writing sprints while I am getting my writing sprints underway here. So everyone bear with me for just a little bit. This is my very first live stream, and I'm not really sure exactly what I'm doing with the technology yet, but I will do my very best to get it all straightened out and make sure that it's as technologically glitch-free as I can possibly make it, but I can't always guarantee that. So like I said, quite a few more of my author friends will be joining just as soon as we have the opportunity to, or just as soon as they have the opportunity to pop on over from Dana's stream, which is still currently going on this morning. And I think they're right in the middle of a writing sprint even. But what I want to do is go ahead and start talking a little bit about what I wanted to talk about today, which is digital marketing. And I kind of want to know, what digital marketing questions do you have? If you're not familiar with me, I have a background in digital marketing. I have a background in digital marketing. I've been doing that for a number of years, and also doing that on a coaching and consultation basis as well for different clients. So I'm happy to go ahead and talk a little bit more about digital marketing around book marketing, around how to build your platform as an author, all sorts of different things that you might come across in marketing, and not quite sure how to go about doing it on a writerly basis. So the first thing that I can talk about as far as the digital marketing would go is to most definitely consider where you're at in your writing process. Hi, Devin. Yeah, I know Mondays are very crowded, it seems like. There are lots of streams going on. I only know of Dana's first thing in the morning. That's the one that I'm most closely, I guess, that I most closely follow. But it definitely is a very crowded Monday for streams and productivity going on, which, I mean, that's really awesome. I love the fact that we can pretty much tune into just about anybody's channel and we're going to get some type of productivity sprint. So to me, that's like really, really amazing. And I like seeing that so many of us are getting the opportunity to do these sprints and get this productivity out of the way that most of the time, a lot of us wouldn't even have an opportunity to really schedule that time into our lives. But this gives us a definite chance to just get that out of the way and get a whole bunch of writing down and make sure it's in our schedule. And so what's most important about that is making sure that it's in our schedule so that people know to leave us the hell alone. I think that's kind of the big thing. Oh, I did not know that Chloe and Sandy start their streams at 4. Okay, so this might be something that we have to take a look at our amongst our group and figure out when we're going to be able to get all of this squeezed in here without too much of an issue. So we don't want to overlap too much, obviously, because we don't really want to split. I think we don't really want to split up our audiences too much. So, hi Francesca, how are you doing today? So bear with us a little bit as we all get daylight savings time just out of the way, and our confusion about when we're starting our streams and how many people are going to have to split between one stream or another. As a matter of fact, the wonderful Heather Dewey Pettet, which I think is how her last name is pronounced, she is going to be joining me and co-hosting on the stream today, but she is currently co-hosting over on Dana's stream. So that is something that we are going to have to look at a little bit as far as making sure that we're all good with our streaming schedules. But as of right now, who really cares too much? I mean, it's not that big of a deal. The fact that people are overriding on Dana's schedule thrills me. It absolutely thrills me. So if they're overriding on her channel, then I am totally good with it. I'm totally happy with it. So anyway, yeah, I am ready for the words too, Francesca. Daylight savings time is pretty rough. And I agree with you. It is so outdated. It makes no sense to me. So for those of you who don't know me, while I live here in Arizona, I'm not from Arizona originally. I am actually from a very tiny agricultural-based town in Indiana, in southern Indiana. And we used to revisit the issue of daylight savings time and whether or not we were going to adhere to it in my tiny town. Like the town council would get together every single year. The town council would get together to talk about whether or not we were going to adhere to daylight savings time or not adhere to daylight savings time. Like this was actually a big conversational topic in my hometown, which was absolutely ridiculous. But the reason that they did it is because it was an agricultural town. And I guess the basis behind daylight savings time is to help farmers maximize the amount of daylight during the winter and or during the summer months, which seems silly because those are the longest days of the year, not the shortest days of the year. So I'm still trying to figure all of it out. It's all super big and confusing. And all I know is that I absolutely hate it myself. So it is so great to see. Devin says that they're using multiple devices in order to stream the different writing streams. That is so wonderful of you. It definitely helps out with the analytics for each of our channels. So that is amazing. Speaking of the almighty analytics gods, if you could give me give me a little boost, maybe give me a little thumbs up, likey, that will really help boost my channel as well. But make sure you do that for everybody's channel, Dana, Sandy, and Chloe, everybody that you got going on. So looks like Stephanie is also doing the same thing. 2 MacBooks running. Oh, and a dinosaur of a Toshiba with various projects going. Your cat is helping you. My cat is currently stretched out like a blanket runner across the foot of my bed. I'm not joking. For some reason, my little mini house panther, when he stretches out, he's like half of my bed from head to butt. That doesn't even count his tail. It doesn't count his little front paws being stretched all the way out over his head. He will almost take up the full foot of my bed if he completely stretches out, which is not like I have a large bed or anything. But still, he's definitely a little house panther. That is for sure. So he doesn't dance on my keyboards too much, though. I've had him since he was really little. He was actually a street rescue, and so he has been taught from a very early age that computers are no bueno, and he's not to go anywhere near them. Now he will get close to me, like he'll come and lay down beside me, or he'll come and lay down on the desk to the side of the keyboard. and he'll touch the edge of the laptop just a little bit, or the edge of the keyboard just a little bit if he wants some love and affection. But he actually has learned that he doesn't actually touch or walk on the keyboards, which is so great. Yeah, Devin, I agree. I think daylight savings time, it just really messes with everybody's heads, and it messes with everybody's like natural sleep cycles. And it's twice a year that it screws us up. And it just seems absolutely ridiculous at this point. It's really outdated and outmoded. So I don't understand why we're continuing to use such an antiquated system. I'm sure that there's some type of logic around it, but I don't see what's wrong with the world staying on one set time all the time. So you always know, excuse me, so that you always know if you're 2 hours ahead in New York, then you're 2 hours ahead in New York. If you're 16 hours ahead in New York, then you're 16 hours ahead in New York. We should just be like, okay, everybody's time is based on these, I don't know, 6 major cities across the world or something like that. I mean, like, this is how you know what your times are. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it, and maybe I don't get what the logic is behind it, but you know, whatever. So I hope they outdate it soon as well. So like I said, we are talking a little bit about digital marketing today. I would love to know any questions that you have. For some that are just logging on, I did mention I have a background in marketing. For the last several years, I've been a consultant or a coach or a digital marketing manager. And obviously, I've been published now for the last 13 years, which is crazy to think about. So I have been doing a lot of, pretty much all of my own marketing for the last 13 years. So I've really learned quite a bit about the different ways that you can go about marketing. Before we get into our first sprint today, I wanted to talk just a little bit about one of the tips that I have for marketing, which is actually using a scheduling platform to kind of keep your marketing and your engagement consistent. Hi, Jeannie. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to my very first live stream. Everyone, you know, like I said, bear with me because it is my very first one. Heather will be joining us shortly as soon as she's finished up over at Dana's channel. So, hi, Key. Nice to see you. Oh, okay. That is good to know. Thank you very much, Devin, for letting me know, because I wanted to make sure I didn't have anything bogging down my system. So I did pop off of Dana's stream a little bit early in order to get set up for mine. I hope she's not cutting it short just for me. But I know she also said that she had a very busy morning going on today. So I'm sure with Oink and everybody else that she has to wrangle, that might be part of the reasons as well. So, like I said, I was just wanting to talk a little bit about and wanting to know a little bit about what kind of scheduling platforms does everybody use for keeping their marketing and their engagement consistent. I myself, I use a combination of platforms. I use a little bit of Buffer, a little bit of Hootsuite, and a little bit of Later. Those are the 3 main ones that I use. Hi, Haley. Good to see you here. So those 3 are the ones that I use to kind of keep my marketing very consistent and to be able to actually engage on a consistent basis and have everything come into one area. So I don't have to keep bouncing back and forth. I don't have to log in and out of Twitter, log in and out of Facebook, log in and out of Pinterest or Instagram. It just gives me an opportunity to kind of be more efficient with my time. So Dana was literally, oh man, I will have to go back and watch. I want to see her wrestling with Oink. That would be great. The bigger Oink gets, the harder that's going to be. And I think it's going to be adorable once Oink gets big enough to play with Bones. I very much want to see that as a regular vlog. That would be a stream I would watch constantly. So Francesca, so you're thinking about self-publishing and you're really lost in what marketing tactic to turn to. I'm not sure if you're talking about what marketing tactic to turn to, like what platform you're wanting to tackle, or what if you want to do more in-person marketing or if you're wanting to do more digital marketing. So maybe if you could clarify that just a little bit, I'd be able to give you a slightly more comprehensive answer rather than giving you a real broad-based one. But literally, as far as if you're thinking about self-publishing, that's amazing. And I do actually have a video coming up this Wednesday, Francesca, that you might want to take a look at. It's going to break down how you should start marketing your self-published book 6 months before you plan on actually publishing it. So that is generally my recommended timeline. So that might be a video that you want to take a look at. Like I said, that'll be this Wednesday, and it starts at 11 a.m. Arizona time, which is now 1 p.m. Eastern time. So if that helps you break things out a little bit. What marketing digital plan? So my recommendation is if you're thinking about going the self-publishing route and you are thinking about what type of digital marketing that you're looking at, is you should look at your demographics. That will help you the most. So depending on the target demographics of your book, whether or not it is YA or fantasy or horror, you should kind of look at your target demographics, and that would tell you a little bit about what marketing platforms you want to be on or what platforms you want to market to. And when we're talking about digital marketing, we are most often talking about social media marketing, of course. Digital marketing also does include your website, and it does include different forums and things like that that you might be on. But we're probably mostly talking about social media marketing at this point. We have Heather in. I'm going to add Heather to the stream now. She's going to co-host with me. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. So we were just talking. Thank you.
Right.
So we were just talking a little bit about the, I guess I could slide over now that I'm not smack in the center of the screen. There we go. Okay. We were just talking about the whole kerfluffle with daylight savings times and all the streams overlapping today. But we got a little bit into the topic that I was tackling today. Francesca had asked that she was thinking of self-publishing, and she was kind of lost about what marketing to go to, what digital marketing to kind of think about. So what I was talking about was talking about how she should look into her target demographics for what social media platform she needs to consider. So before I finish with that, I want to go ahead and let you have an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are, just in case there are a few people here who don't know.
Well, my name is Heather Dewey Pettet, and let's see. I have been a freelance writer, editor, and etc. For about 20 years now, and also I am writing my first book. Excuse me. It is a young adult fantasy.
Okay. Awesome. Do you have an idea when you think your first book is going to come out, or are you still in like the early drafting? I don't want to put you on the spot with a deadline or a promise.
Well, I've had some deadlines that have gotten pushed back, in the past, because whatever, kids and whatever. However, I have given myself a deadline. I would like to be, if I can possibly, I would like to be finished by no later than the end of August, because I have a birthday coming. So I've given myself a deadline for just prior to my birthday. So.
Well, that'd be a good gift to yourself. That's a really good gift.
I think so.
Yeah. So, okay, so I'll finish up addressing Francesca's question then. Like I said, looking at your target demographics is really going to be where you're going to decide that you're going to be on social media. If you are looking at a younger demographic, so say for instance you're writing maybe children's books or YA, then you would be looking at social media that usually aligns with um, a younger demographic. So that would be Instagram and TikTok versus say using Facebook, which it tends to be a slightly older demographic. So your Twitter is somewhere Twitter and Pinterest kind of fall somewhere in the middle of your demographics a little bit. They tend to be more of your I guess they tend to be more along the lines of your like your family age is what I call it. They have kids that are between the ages of say like 5 and 15, kind of those ages. But not always. There are always outliers and things like that. So
Right, right.
it's
And there are also other readers that are not necessarily within those parameters, like uh, women my age love reading young adult as well, or new adult,
yeah.
which you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's one of the big things is that a lot of I mean, I enjoy reading a lot of young adult books. I'm definitely not in the young adult category anymore. I'm nowhere near the young adult category, despite the pigtails and the baby face. Um, so that's something that you want to take into consideration. You shouldn't count out a social media platform. You should have a light touch and established and be established in as many different social media platforms as you think you can handle and reasonably engage in. And I want to make sure I stress that you think you can handle and reasonably engage in. Because if you're not engaging, if you're not talking to people and you're not liking people, then you're not doing digital marketing. That's just not. You have to actually have back and forth conversations. So if you think you can only handle one or two social media platforms in a day, then, and I am talking about daily, being able to handle them, not log on once a week or something like that, then keep yourself restricted um, to what you think you can handle until you get more ground under you, till you can kind of figure out what you're doing. And I didn't start off being able to use social media and be able to juggle 5 or 6 different social media platforms in a day like I can now. But this also goes back to what I was saying about using the scheduling platforms that help you keep your marketing and your engagement consistent. And a really great one that I recommend for that is Hootsuite. It is definitely a really amazing platform for being able to uh, engage with and schedule your content all at the same time. Um,
Okay.
so, Devin, TikTok makes you think of Kesha. Well, I mean, yeah, it does. It does just a little bit for those of us that actually remember the song and remember that. So, okay, so with that out of the way, then I think we will go on to our first writing sprint, which you'll have to bear with me just a little bit because I am going to have to see um, how I share my screen. So this should be fun for me to pull up a timer and share my screen. I know a lot of us have some really good timers on our channels. So I think I am going to go and grab one of the timers that I saw somebody else using. 3-minute timer. And see if I can't do that real quick. I guess I should have had this queued up already. I'm so sorry. Like I said, bear with me just a little bit. All right, so let me see if I can share my screen. Maybe. Maybe. Okay, not working for me so far. Thanks everybody for, dealing with my technical. I'm sure a few of us had to figure this out the first couple times too, right? At least I hope I'm not the only one.
Be careful, Dana.
You are more than welcome, Francesca. So I hopefully answered some of your questions there. And if you want to find me on Facebook, I am part of the Authortubers group, of course. If you want to find me on Facebook, we can always chat a little bit more in detail and get you something that started out. I had offered that to Heather as well. So let me try sharing my screen. No. Where did that go? There we go. Okay. All right. So it is not letting me. Okay, so it's not letting me share my screen at the moment. So I'm going to figure that out during the first 20-minute sprint, but I am going to go ahead and get us started with a timer for 20 minutes. Might be really hard to see, but I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So I will give us a countdown of 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, my writing weirdos. Looks like 20 minutes is up. Looks like Francesca had to leave. Thanks so much for coming, Francesca. Really appreciate it. Hope I answered some questions for you. All right, so how did everybody do? Let us know down in the comments and, tell us what you're working on a little bit today. That would be great to be able to see. All right. All right, so I will go first. I looked into why I couldn't share my screen here on the feed, which, dummy me, I didn't give my computer permissions to be able to show my screen in advance. And in order to do that, I would have to shut down the feed. I'd have to shut down Chrome and all of that, which I'm obviously not going to do for today. And so today we will be winging it with just my lovely voice telling you when to start and stop for the writing sprints. I was trying to show at least the timer that I had set on my phone a little bit on camera every so often to let you know where we were at in the sprints. But of course, it doesn't want to show up all that great. So
sorry about that.
No, that's okay. You've been sick. We understand.
Yeah.
So I was just saying that I managed to get look into why I couldn't share my screen, which was a dummy me thing. I didn't give my computer permission to share my screen, and I can't do that now without shutting down Chrome, and I'm not going to do that obviously in the middle of a stream. So we'll just use my fabulous voice to start and stop the sprints for now, and occasionally I'll give like a minute update on where we're at. But what were you able to get done, Heather?
Me, outside of my huge coughing jag, maybe shouldn't laugh too hard. I basically I was continuing what I had started in Dana Gollin's stream, which was just looking at the villain in my novel. So I wanted to look at that just a little bit more. But excuse me. I know that we were discussing here something completely different, but it was just still up.
Oh yeah, I mean
But anyway,
we can discuss something totally different than what we're working on. That's fine. I mean,
that's true.
I'm working on reformatting my anniversary edition of my book, and doing the new edition for it. So I'm definitely not doing anything that's marketing related per se, other than I guess improving the book's layout and format. So it looks like Jeannie
Okay.
is getting some work done on her outline. It's an urban fantasy set in the 1900s. It's book 2. Awesome. What's book 1, Jeannie, so we can give it a shout out? And Wendy Scribbles she got 139 words on a farmhouse horror story. That piques my interest since I come from a small town that is big on the farming. So
I know a little bit about barns, so
there you go. There you go.
I grew up around horses. So.
My sister had horses. My sisters are a little older than I am, so they were in college and adults by the time I was like 8, 9 years old.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. So my oldest sister, she had horses while I was growing up, so I know my way around some horses.
Same here. So yeah, my sister, she teaches.
Oh,
so
she teaches riding. That's awesome.
Yes.
Riding, not writing.
You're right, so, exactly.
I know those. I'm also a cyclist, so every so often people when I say that I was writing today, and they automatically assume I was working on my books, and I'm like, no, I meant writing with a D and no W, kind of a thing. So, what we were talking about before, using the using scheduling platforms to kind of keep marketing and engagement consistent. One way of doing that is by constantly working on your writing. It's constantly by producing new products and having new products that are available. That's a way to keep your audience engaged. So what we're doing today is, yeah. So Jeannie's first book is called Infinity 8, The Demon Lord of California. Okay, I'm just intrigued by the title. They're demon lords in California. The start is a bit fluffy, but we'll get a tad more gritty fluff. I like gritty fluff as the series goes on. That's a good way of putting it. That is definitely a good way of putting it. So that is pretty cool. So that would be, I'm actually kind of interested, Jeannie, in seeing what kind of like fan art or, product art you have for that first book. Because I'm picturing all these wild things now about demon lords in California, and that'd be kind of fun. Which actually goes into my second marketing tip that I have for today, which is creating book boards on Pinterest. And this is where you just go into Pinterest. If you're not familiar with Pinterest, you pin images that lead to content that you want people to pay attention to, and you group them under topics that are called boards. So that's Pinterest in a nutshell for those who aren't familiar with it. It's a really great tool for marketing for books because it's very visual, which I know you would think, how is this a good tool for books? Because books are not exactly visual medium. But you can get a lot of fan art and a lot of different images that you used to inspire you. You can get those and you can end up pinning those so that you can show your audience what it is that inspired you. And sometimes that's famous people, sometimes it's other art that's out there. As long as you're not claiming that it's your own original art, then you can totally pin it and be like, this was my inspiration for. There's a model, a high fashion model that I used as my inspiration for Abby St. Michael in my A Touch of Darkness and A Touch of Madness books. So I pinned her photo on a ton of different, I used a ton of different photos from her and pinned that on my Pinterest board for the book board for both A Touch of Darkness and A Touch of Madness. So you just pin different stuff like this. So I'm now picturing Jeannie a ton of different demon lord-esque stuff on a Pinterest board for you. So you do have some characters done. You need to post them. See? Yep, Pinterest. Yeah, it's not as popular a medium. Okay, I take that back. It's not as popular a social media platform as it once was, but it's still a very popular marketing platform. So it differs on two different. It's not as social as it once was, which it was for a long time, a very social platform, but now it's more of a grab and go, like a stop and go type of platform. So Pinterest is a great way to generate interest for whatever projects you have going. Okay, that leads into my third marketing tip. My third marketing tip is actually having quality mock-ups of your books, which this got discussed kind of really thoroughly on some of the streams last week, mostly on Lisa Daly's stream. Caro was on and talked a lot about different sites, BookBrush and Canva, and how to use those to create mock-ups of your books. And by creating a mock-up, it's where you actually put the cover of your book on or insert it into different photos, and where it looks like it's being read on a Kindle or where it looks like the actual book is being read, which I'm sure most of you know. But just in case anybody is very, very new and needs that. And this goes back to creating your book boards on Pinterest. If you don't have book boards on Pinterest of your books, whether or not you group them all in one big book board or you spread them out into individual book boards, I have one big book board that I pin all my books to, and I pin books of my friends, their cover art, their inspirational photos, things like that. Because I want to do as much cross promotion as possible. I want people that are seeing, Caro, for instance, she writes, Caro Brown, who also writes under Faye Black, for instance. She does urban fantasy. I also write urban fantasy. So I want anybody that might be finding her stuff to also find my stuff, and vice versa. I want anybody looking for my stuff to also find her stuff, because she's a fantastic writer. So yeah, a few scattered around Pinterest, Jeannie, with a few blog posts. Yeah, it's a good way of getting your blog posts out there. I need to clean mine up too. It doesn't get nearly as much attention as a lot of my other social media does. But
I was going to say that earlier about cleaning up Pinterest.
Yeah, about cleaning it up. I take it that's on your radar now too?
Oh, it's been how they can just kind of become a just depository of ideas, and sometimes they can, you go down the rabbit hole, as they say, on Pinterest so easily. So, it's kind of full. But that wasn't my original intention.
Yeah. It's very easy for Pinterest to kind of become your junk drawer, where stuff just gets thrown into, and you're not sure what to do with it after that, or you just kind of forget that you threw it in the junk drawer to begin with.
Right. Sometimes.
Yeah, I get surprised. Sometimes I'll go back through my Pinterest boards and be like, I pinned that? Really? Oh, that is a really awesome thing. Why did I forget that I even pinned that? So that's something that I do on a fairly regular basis. So it sounds like all of us need to clean up our Pinterest boards a little bit. I'm not, exempt from this in any way. I have to clean up my Pinterest board too. But I usually keep at least 3 of my boards I keep pretty clean. And that's the books for everybody board, which is where I pin my books, and I pin books that I think are just kick-ass, and pin my friends' books and things like that. Then I keep another one, which is like books and more for writers. It's stuff that helps us be better writers. That's just all there is to that board. And then I keep create art, which is just different photos, different pictures, different sketches, different digital art, classic art, all sorts of stuff that I find inspirational, that I find motivating. I'm teaching myself how to draw right now, so I keep a lot of that on there so that I have reference photos and reference material for learning how to draw, which I'm not that good at it, but there's a reason I'm a writer. But still having fun with it.
Same here. I have things.
But we try. We try.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is something, and definitely with the mock-ups of your books, that is, you should be pinning those. You should be getting that out there and showing people that you have books, and pinning them can, if you're not sure how to go about pinning a picture and what it needs to link to, it needs to link back to the buy version of your book. Wherever it is that you host your book, it needs to link back to that if it's not being linked to an article or something along those lines. Like Heather, for instance, if you wrote a killer blog article about editing and what you know about editing, kind of a thing, which I'm sure could be a novel at this point, but if you wrote something like that and you wanted more interest for it, then you could use your book's cover art to grab people's attention and be like, and a caption or a headline beneath it would be, "See how I edited my book, and this is my book."
Right.
Kind of a thing. So you could do that, whatever you need it to link to, but most often you're going to use your mock-ups for your books to lead back to your buy link. So back to Amazon, back to Barnes & Noble, back to Ingram, wherever it is that you publish through. Back to your traditional, even if you're not indie published and you go through a publishing house of some sort, then you would lead back to whatever your buy link there is. So, all right, what do you say we all try and get a few more words in? So, all right, so we are going to start for another 20-minute sprint, and we are going to start that in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, that is 20 more minutes down on our third sprint for today. All right, so how did everybody do? Oh, it looks like Wendy had to leave. Bye, Wendy. Thanks for coming. Okay, Heather, how'd you do with your villain? You making more progress?
Yeah, a little bit more. What did I write? Um, yeah, I also made a little note about a setting, yeah, I have been working on him. On him, it is a him, but maybe that's all I'll say at the moment. But yeah, I did a little bit, but then I also when I got up to take a quick break, I switched gears and I went and looked at some notes that I have that I need to work on actually for quarter two. So you know, and just basically I need to create some goals for quarter two still. So that's something I'm working on.
That's important, breaking down your goals by quarters or months, or just breaking them down into something less than a year, because a year is a really long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Really easy to fall behind when you have just yearly goals versus having quarterly or monthly or weekly, whatever works best.
Right, exactly.
So I actually got about 6 pages reformatted, and I was really struggling with rivers in the formatting. And so if you
okay.
where the
I remember what a river is. I remember what a widow and an orphan and all.
Yeah, no, the
Back in the day.
Rivers, for who don't know what they are where the white space in the paragraphs of the book are like perfectly aligned to create these like little white flowing rivers.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So I was having quite a bit of trouble with those, because once I worked on the reformatting, of course it changes all the indentations and moves everything just a little bit. And so I had to go through and play with some of those and make them work. So poor Jeannie, she was trying to type with a cat on her lap.
Wow, that's almost as bad as having a kid in your lap.
Yeah, it's a cat on the lap, a kid on the lap, bones in a lap. I mean, so it's just I can imagine. Like I said, my animals are really good about they really don't, they come over and they ask for love and they ask for affection, but they sit very nicely and they're really sweet about it. And the cat is the most insistent he'll take a little paw and put it on the edge of the laptop, or he'll take a paw and put it on the edge of the mouse pad and just let me know that I haven't touched him in a while or made eye contact. That's usually what he wants, is he wants eye contact and a nice word. And that's about it.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, oh, well, I'm glad, Jeannie, that the marketing tips have been able to help. When I told Heather I would take over her Monday spot and told Caro that I would take the spot for the writing sprints, I thought, really what I know most about is marketing. I mean, obviously I know about writing. I've got 7 titles to my name, and I've done a few things, but what I know how to instruct on and what I instruct on all the time is marketing. And I thought, well, I haven't seen, other than really Lisa's stream and occasionally Caro's stream, I haven't seen anybody really talk about it much. So I'm glad that I could bring some new stuff and be really informative. Um, so there's, you know, lots of different ways, of course, to do your marketing and things like that. One thing, Jeannie, that I would recommend is talking to people about doing newsletter swaps as well. If you haven't done something like that, it's a great way to get your word out there to other people's curated readers. These are readers that show an interest in their works. Now, obviously, you're going to want to swap with somebody that writes in the similar genres to what you write in. But like Kara writes urban fantasy, I write urban fantasy. It kind of sounds like Demon Lords of California might be a bit in the urban fantasy setting as well. So that would be something to consider, or a little claw to get our attention. My cat he's not declawed, but he learned very, very early on, just like with not walking on my laptop and not doing things like that, that he's not allowed to use claws. So he the most I ever feel from him is the very tip of the claw. That's about it. Just the very tip of the claw. And that's usually because he'll stretch or something like that, and he'll touch me when he stretches. So I'll get a little tiny bit of claw, but it's actually not.
nothing, no puncture wounds.
No puncture wounds, no scratches even.
Nothing intentional.
Nothing
Sounds like
intentional. No scratches.
just pie
Just a I'm stretching and your
in
flesh
my
happens to be
way.
near me as I'm stretching, and here's the very pinprick of my claw, and that's it. And it's so funny because if I say the word claw, like my cat is over off to the side looking at me strangely, because usually that means he's hurting me with his claws and he should stop. And which is something that is incredibly rare. But it's kind of funny because he's looking at me like, I'm nowhere near you, human. I don't know what you're talking about. So, um, so how it works with the newsletter swaps is you contact another author that writes in your same genre or same. Usually, you have some type of a relationship with them through social media. Probably mostly through social media, but you might be convention buddies or go to different festivals together or go to a lot of different writing events, conferences, and things like that together. And you talk to them about maybe putting a little bit in their newsletter, whether or not, and that it can vary really. It could be anything from a small square that they put in their newsletter about your latest work, and you do the same for them. Like you put their book blurb and you put their picture, their cover art, and then you put their to buy links, or especially if it's going out digitally, you just link straight to their Kindle, or their Kindle version of their book, things like that. Sometimes you'll put in, sometimes you could offer to do a guest article for them where you write something that would interest their readers about your books. I guest author occasionally for a few people, and they're on both their blogs and in their newsletters, and those they send out then to get their readers' attention with their newsletters, and then they put at the bottom of my blog article that I'm also an author of such and such books. So you can do it a couple of different ways, but mainly it's just leveraging your existing network that you have, and trying to find something that's mutually beneficial for the both of you. Kind of it's a quid pro quo of, if you put my book out to your readers, then I'll put your book out to my readers, and we might have some overlapping, but we probably don't, in all honesty. So that's kind of how you do that.
Well, I've heard of that for blogs for sure, and then once I started thinking about it, I have seen that in newsletters where it was like material pulled from another source. or something along those same lines like you were saying. I have seen it. Now, after I started thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I've seen
Yeah, sometimes it can
that.
be sometimes it's as simple as, what I do for my newsletters a lot is I will offer cover reveals. Like, I'll tell people that when they have a cover reveal for their book to let me know, and I'll send that out as long as it's in the same genre as the same genres that I write in. That way my readers are interested. I will totally help them promote a new book that they have coming out with like here's a cover reveal. You're some of the first audience to be seeing this new cover, and here is the pre-order link, or here's the existing order link if it's a redesign, something along those lines. And I'll even put a note in there saying something like, this is a BC recommended book. If I've read it, if it's not, this is a BC friend book, a Friends of BC book or something like that, saying that this person happens to be a friend of mine. So you should check out their book because blah. It's a lot like blah. Most of the time, it's a book that I have read and probably given a review on, so that I can say this is a BC recommended book. If you like my whatever book, then you will probably like this person's book as well because I think they're a lot alike. So, and another thing that you can do with that is in the newsletter swaps, you can give free samples of your book. You can give an excerpt of your book. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
you're not going to give like a 3-chapter excerpt, of your book. You're going to give something that's small, that's not going to just consume their newsletter. But that's something that you can do. That's a great way of marketing. Another way is offering services that you have available, because a lot of times newsletters will go out to both writers and readers, because we all sign up for each other's newsletters. We all help try to support each other as much as we can. So sometimes you're advertising and you're marketing really to 2 sets of people. You're marketing to readers who might want to buy what you have, but you're also marketing to writers who might want to buy what you offer, which may be services. Like in my case, while I don't have 20 years of experience like Heather does in it, but I offer freelance editing on a fairly regular basis to select clients. So that's something that I've put out there before, and literally just put in there that I have freelance editing on a client by client basis. My friends have put that in their newsletters when I'm looking for more clients or when I'm wanting to take on a crazy amount of work for some reason. So those are really great ways to market. And once you get somebody invested in, say, yourself as an editor, they are more likely to become a reader of yours in the future. They're more likely to become some sort of fan of yours in the future. Wouldn't you say so, Heather?
Yeah, I would say so as well. I have seen that happen a lot among some of my writer friends in in this community, as well as in my local writers community as well.
Yeah, so it's certainly very helpful, and is a lot of, it just gets a lot more push for your work and for your services. And that way you are marketing, but you're not marketing to the same audience necessarily, or you're not wearing out your marketing. You want to make sure that you're constantly touching on some fresh individuals. I've even simply put in Friends' new newsletters, if you would like to sign up for another amazing urban fantasy author, then sign up for this person's newsletter as well and find out what they do. Just a link to somebody else's newsletter, subscription is great. So just getting that for yourself can be really awesome as well. So that is about all I have for marketing tips wise, unless anybody had any other questions. Those are all I had specifically. I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap up a little bit early because I understand that Chloe's stream is going on at 4. I think it was Chloe and Oh, I can't remember the other one. But I was told that Chloe's stream is going on at 4 o'clock. So I know all of our schedules are wonky because of daylight savings. So trying to be considerate. I know that Dana wrapped up, I think, a little bit early. I don't know that she did it for my stream, but I know that she wrapped up a little bit early as well. So I'll probably do that. So with that said, unless anybody has any other questions, Heather, you want to go ahead and do your outro?
Sure. Let's see. Put me on the spot. Just kidding.
You always seem so shocked. You always seem so shocked.
Oh, well. I'll explain later.
Okay.
I'm Heather Dewey Pettet. Let's see. I am a freelance editor specializing in copy editing and proofreading. I've been doing that for approximately 20 years. And I am writing my first novel. And I'm in the middle of it, right smack dab in the middle of it. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Awesome. And so do you have a working title that you want to share with us, or are you keeping that on the lowdown for like on the DL?
I almost want to keep it on the lowdown because there's part of the title that some people might get, but a lot of people wouldn't get. So I'm on the fence about it.
Okay. No, I understand. So we'll keep it DL for now, and it'll be one really massive surprise later when we're all like, Heather's story is called. Yeah.
I'll definitely let you know when I'm done.
Cool. All right. So
hopefully before my birthday.
Yes. Okay. So then we'll know that we also get to celebrate your birthday at about the same time. So you don't actually have to share your birthday with us, just us going, hey, we know it's almost her birthday. So it'd be good. Okay, so Chloe and Sandy started streaming a few minutes ago. Thank you, Devin, for letting us know that. That's why I am wrapping up at the moment. You are very welcome, Jeannie. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I know there's a lot of streaming going on today and a lot of overlapping. So I do appreciate everybody that did tune in and bore with me during the during the technical glitches and any weird awkwardness, which I'm the queen of weird awkwardness. So
I don't know about that.
I do okay. Once I have somebody to chat with, I do better. If I don't have anybody to chat with, then I don't do quite as well. But I had a few issues with my live captioning today, so that led me to a couple of little snafus here and there, but not too bad, I don't think. And I will totally get the timer situation rectified by next Monday. So we'll do that. So with that said, my outro is I am BC Brown, and I coach writers on writing, publishing, and marketing better. I have been doing that for about 10 years now. I've been published for 13 with 7 titles to my name. You can see some of them over here behind me. And yeah, that's it. I just want to thank everybody for joining us for the 20-minute productivity sprints today and for the marketing chat. And I will see you all next Monday. Bye.
Bye.